Well, good morning and welcome to each one. I would like to begin by making you aware that council meetings are available live through Zoom, and recordings may be posted online on County of Huron's YouTube channel. You may be seen and or heard as part of these broadcasts, and your name, comments, and or presentation materials will become part of the public record. And with that, I would like to call this meeting to order. And starting off, looking if there's approval for the agenda that we have with us this morning. So Councillor Klopp, Councillor Basnet, seconding that. Those in favor? That is carried. Is there any pecuniary interest to declare at this time? Seeing none, we'll go on to the minutes. Is there any errors or omissions to address? And if not, I'd be looking for someone willing to adopt the minutes. Councillor Finch is willing to adopt the minutes. Councillor McClellan is seconding that. Those in favor? That is carried. And that brings us to our delegations and presentations, and we'll ask Ken Palin to come and join us for a proposed surplus building severance. And Ken, when you're ready, you go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Warden and councillors. Thanks for having me today. My wife Sally is back in here, and my son Jared is also here to support me and make sure I do a good job this morning of this presentation. So we'll start off. I'm here in support of a proposed surplus building severance that we've applied for. Next slide. This is the property we're discussing. It's a 70-acre property, and that's the laneway coming in and the buildings that are surrounded by the fence. So that's here we're talking about. It's about 3.7 acres. Next slide. So the background, in 88, we constructed a new house and barn, and it was engineered according to the disabled conservation recommendations, permits, etc. All the permits that we got at that period of time seem to be the same now. It's just, we're just doing the severance. So next slide. So there's the actual permit. The two interests of the disabled was there's two floodplain things they talk about there. One is the 1 in 100-year flood, and the other was the 1 in 250-year flood. And that's called the regional flood as well. Next slide. So the house was built with no basement, and the building had to be kept up at the 1 in 250-year level. And also the mechanical and the electrical had to be kept up there, and we did all that. Next slide. And the barn itself could be built at the 1 in 100-year flood, the lower level, but the electrical and mechanical had to be kept up at the 1 in 250. Next slide. So that's the permit for the barn at the time. Next slide. There's a picture of the old barn that we tore down on the left, and on the right is the new barn. A couple of pictures there of the structure of the new barn, and we basically put it in the same spot. Next slide. And this is a picture of the old house that we tore down. It did have a basement, and it was quite a bit lower because we built that whole area up. And there's a picture of the new house there on the right and the laneway coming in. Next slide. We also were able to dig a pond there. We had sand back in there, so we used that sand to build up the property where we built the buildings on. And then we ended up fencing off that pond for children's safety, but also for to keep the cattle out of the river flats. And then we could also use it as a fire pond as well. We told the firemen they're welcome to use it anytime. Next slide. We planted trees up and down that laneway for flood proofing. And I also put a culvert across it in the low area for spring runoff. And so that was all done. You know what tree roots will do. It keeps all the laneway in good condition. So next slide. The pool shed we constructed in 1999, got permits for that. And an outdoor pool was put in at that time. And they were all done at the 1 in 100-year level. Next slide. And there's the permit for that. Next slide, please. In July 2000, if you all remember, we had about 7 inches of rain that showed up in July. And so I called it the 1 in 100-year flood. So we'll go to the next slide. We've got some pictures. So there's the pool house at the back left, and there's the barn at the front. And that was the flood, and it showed that none of the water went in any of the buildings. So it seems like the recommendation of the 1 in 100 was correct, and it worked. Next slide. This is the back where the pool is, and then the front where the house is. Of course, the house is 6 feet taller than the barn because it's the higher level. So of course we had no problems with that. Next slide. So, and then about 2008, a few years later, the Stephen Township built up that road, the Asable line. And I had Doug Culver come in and survey it because I was concerned on what impact that would have on our property. And he surveyed it, built it up at 24 inches tall. So next slide. So here, I just had Doug come out at that period of time, and he also surveyed the rest of the property there. And so yes, those levels there for the barn and all the outbuildings are at the 1 in 100 year levels. Those are listed there. I just highlighted the house there, and it's at 244, I think, level, and it was supposed to be at 243 something. So it's about half a meter above what we were told we had to do at that point in time. Next slide. We also surveyed the Asable line after it was built up. And if you look at those numbers there, like they're about 242.8 or at about that level. And they are recommend the 1 in 250 is 243.7 or something. So they're about half a meter to a meter below what the 250 floodplain would be. So that's your road, and it's about 26 feet wide. Next slide. So we also did our laneway coming in and out. And you can notice that it's about the same level as the Asable line, except back towards the house where we put that culvert in and we lowered that level for spring runoff. So the spring runoff goes through that culvert. And it's around 20 feet wide. And between the trees is around 53 to 57 feet wide. So we got lots of access going in and out. So if there's a 250-year event, Asable line and our roadway in and out is going to be about the same impact. Next slide. So we also wondered what would happen when they built that up on the Asable line, what impact it would have on the water coming to us. So the next slides show from our property down to the Crediton Road. So the next slide. So I was able in December 29th, actually, we had a rain event and we also had a melt. So that is the east side of the Asable line. And since it's been built up, look at the volume of water that stays on the east side that would have been on the west side where we live. Next slide. That's down by the Very property, just down the road to the east, to the southeast. Next slide. That shows by the Beaver property right down to the Crediton Road. So a tremendous amount of water that now goes through two catch basins into culverts and into the Asable line. Next slide. We also in 2018 put in a generator as well, and that's up at that level. That's the 1 in 250-year level there. And that allows us to stay in the house for a week or two, whatever, depending on the time of year. Next slide. And that's an automatic generator as well. The GPS map you're going to see next just shows about 3.7 acres. It's harder to read. So we'll do the next slide. There's a picture of the GPSing we did. So coming in on the green, the light green is the laneway coming in, and the red is the buildings at the back there. Next slide. And this shows a better picture in red. My son put this on the map there, and it shows the property that we're looking at severing there. And on the top left-hand side is the entrance, the new entrance that will be going into the property. Next slide. Again, that's back to the original one I showed you at the beginning that shows the laneway coming in and the buildings at the back with the fencing there to be severed, proposed severed. Next slide. And there's a picture of the pond at the back. Next slide. So in summary, after living on the River Flats for 38 years, we've done everything that the Asable asked us to do according to the permits that were given to us at the time, which are still the same today. And so the issues back then were no different than today. So I think we've done everything that we can do to make this property better. And I have no issue with a flood on this property. We've been there and watched it all. Next slide, please. So I think that, it conforms with the surplus property severance rules. And I think we've done everything we need to do with the current buildings. So there should be no impact on anything go forward. Next slide. So in summary, it's a perfect example of lands being offered for sale to the larger family farms in the area, similar to what the Very severance was, which is just up the road on the left. That was severed in 2021. And it's on the same floodplain, same deal as what our property is. Next slide. So that's a picture of the actual summary picture of the severance that occurred at Very's. If you look at the bottom left there, It shows where the two buildings, the house and the shed, were severed off. And that was in 2021, same floodplain. Next slide. So thank you very much from Ken and Sally. Hopefully I was on time. Good. And I'd be glad to, and if I wasn't looking at you, I'll apologize for that. I'm a little nervous, but I'll take any questions you have.
Oh, thank you for the information, Ken. And I will ask council if there's any questions for Mr. Palin. But just to remind you that a little bit later under planning, we will be getting more in depth with this application. So, Councillor Finch.
Yeah, thank you. Just want to thank Ken for a very transparent presentation. He has all his documents, all his ducks in a row, if you will. I'll speak more to this at 9.1, but just wanted to make it clear that you've done a great job on your presentation. So thank you.
Anything else from council at this time? And if not, then I'd be looking for motion to receive this presentation, and that's Councillor Klopp and Councillor Anderson seconding that. Those in favor? That is carried. Thank you, Ken. Councillor comments. Is there anything from councillors at this time in the agenda? Past Warden Ginn, please.
Yeah, thank you. And this is has to do with SWIFT that I'm representative on. SWIFT has decided to proceed with a cellular study to be done in-house with all of the funding from or for this project will be covered by SWIFT. What it's going to involve is there will be a car identified as SWIFT that will travel almost all the roads in southwestern Ontario. It's a cost just shy of $1 million to do this, but they are going to look for funding from the government to encourage full cellular coverage across southern Ontario, and it's going to be very similar to the one that's happening in eastern Ontario. Huron has completed this. So if you see a car driving up and down the road with SWIFT on it, that's what it is. The study needs to be done while the trees are in leaf, because that can affect cellular coverage in certain instances. So I just wanted to update council on that. I thought there was going to be some information come out from SWIFT, but I wanted to inform council before the car is actually traveling on the road, so you know what it's all about in case you get questions. Thank you.
Well, thank you for that information. Councillor Becker, please.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. Last couple of weeks, reconstruction on Dashwood has started for the third year, and stoplights have been put up at the the west end and at Center Street. A lot of people want to avoid the stoplights, so they're traveling around the back streets. We've had a young fella get hit by a car 2 weeks ago. He survived. Luckily, there's been other numerous close calls. These people just don't abide by, taking their time. I'm just wondering to Imrad, can the stoplights be shut off on Friday at dinner time till Monday morning? Only use them when the construction workers are working, because these people are just avoiding the area. They're going through the stoplights because on Sunday, a lady reported it was 7 minutes waiting at the light to change to get through. And the way society is with their impatience today, it is becoming quite critical. People are very concerned the safety. People are walking on our streets because some of our streets don't have sidewalks, and these people just don't slow down. I don't want to see another child or a person get hit. Thank you.
Thank you for those comments. Imran, was there anything you wanted to add at this moment?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Warren. Through you. Yeah, we can certainly look at that. The traffic control plan is obviously managed by the contractor on site, and we can extend those concerns. Ultimately, they're responsible for the safety on site. But yeah, we can look if the way they leave the site can be accommodated without the signs, then we can certainly pass that message along and see if they would be able to accommodate that.
Thanks, Imran. Councillor Anderson, please.
Thank you, Warden. I'd like to thank the Public Works for putting up the speed signs in Kinburn. But last night when I was traveling through Kinburn, the one sign does not register anybody's speed. And I just wondered if that could be looked at.
Imran, please.
Sorry, I just missed the last part. Where is that, sorry?
Through Kinburn.
Yeah, we can look at that too. Yeah.
Thanks, Imran. Councillor Heffer? Thank you for that. Councillor Klopp?
Thank you. This pertains, I guess, to Councillor Ginn and Swift. You said that there will be some information coming to council on that, on what the areas are. Because I'm curious, when you said Southwestern Ontario, there'll be a map. I'd like to see that map of where they're going to be going.
Yeah, it'll be done in the Swift area. That map is online at the Swift site. You can check it out there. Yeah.
Okay. So WW Swift Line, or the Swift has a Facebook page or whatever. Yep. Thank you.
Okay, any other councillor comments? Okay, we're going to move on to our consent agenda. There's 5 items on that consent agenda. Is there any specific item that anybody wants to pull and speak to? And if not, then I'd be looking for motion to receive and approve the consent agenda. So that's Councillor Heffer. Councillor Becker is seconding that. Those in favor? That is carried. So that brings us to planning and development and consent application for the Palins. And Victor is with us. So Victor, when you're ready, go ahead.
Thank you very much, Warden and members of council. I'll be brief in my comments. I think Ken did a good job of orienting council to the property and his goals here. The subject property is north of Crediton in Stephen Ward. You can see it highlighted on this screen. It fronts on a Sauble line and backs onto the river. The zoning is general agriculture and both NE1 and NE2. The laneway is approximately 445 meters long. So the residential building and the farm building are both back by the river, more than we typically see with a consent application. And this is a picture along the driveway looking back at the property. This file has been reviewed by South Huron staff and council. South Huron staff did provide some conditions that could be considered if the application is approved. South Huron Council ultimately recommended approval of the application with the conditions recommended by their staff. We have received comments from the ABCA. I think that these are the critical comments on this application, and this is really the real concern with this file. It otherwise meets all of the policy tests. It is a natural hazards issue. And so the ABCA is recommending denial of the application, as both the residents and the access, the laneway and the road, are within the hazard area for the flood hazard. The property is subject to significant flood hazards. And essentially the concern is that once this lot is severed, if there is damage to the building in the future, there won't be any opportunity to rebuild it further to the east, closer to the road and with less flood hazard concern. And so that's the fundamental kind of turning point of the ABCA concerns with this application. The provincial planning statement prohibits development and site alteration in hazard lands when a new hazard is being created and existing hazards are aggravated. Because this new lot would fragment the hazard and aggravate the hazard due to the lack of ability to rehabilitate and move further east, the ABCA has identified that this is a violation of the provincial planning statement. These policies are echoed in the South Huron official plan and in the Huron County official plan, really looking to minimize the risk of property damage or risk of life here. And just to orient council to the nature of the flood hazard, in orange is the Palin property, and you can see that both the entire property and the lands across the road, essentially to the back of the farm across the road, halfway through the farm across the road, are entirely within the flood hazard, as is the entire Sauble line. And so from a staff position, we are recommending denial of the application as it's not consistent with the provincial planning statement. It does not conform to the Huron County Official Plan and the South Huron Official Plan and does not meet the requirements of the Planning Act. And I'm happy to take any questions.
Okay, thank you, Victor. So we're now entering the part of the meeting where the members of the public can make comments. And anyone that wishes to speak can do so using the raised hand function if you're joining us virtually. And if you're in person, we'd ask that you'd raise your hand and state your name for the official minutes. And I'm going to start asking if there's anyone here that wishes to speak in opposition to this application. See.
At this time, I see no one that wishes to speak in opposition of this application.
And I'm going to ask now, is there anyone that would wish to speak in favor of this application? And again, I'll ask Clerk Cronin to.
At this time, I see no one that wishes to speak in favor of this application.
All right. And I will give the applicants an opportunity. If you do wish to speak further to the application, you can do so.
I think we've pretty well covered everything. I think the big thing here is that those were the same questions as I built that property through the years that were brought up, that Victor just brought up today. So it's nothing has changed over that period of time as far as those applications were given. We answered their questions at that point in time and nothing has changed. It's always been the same zoning, et cetera, back there. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Palin. So I'm going to go to the South Huron councillors first, if there's anything they would wish to speak to on this application. And Councillor Finch, please.
Yeah, thank you. Through the warden, I just want to thank Mr. Palin for his presentation today. Very, very genuine person. The fact that he's offering the pond at the back of the property for fire protection for other people within the community speaks a lot to his integrity, of course. South Huron Council approved it unanimously. We see this as a fabric of Huron County that complements our municipality and the rest of Huron County. I know what Victor has explained is the letter of the law, which is his job to do, and we appreciate that, and what the South Bayfield's position is as well. But there's the letter of the law and there's the spirit of the law. And I would suggest as council, we have that opportunity to exercise the spirit of the law in this. Very well maintained property, adds value, I said, to the rural community. This is something I think we need to approve and support Mr. Palin on this because we've done a similar severance up the road at the very property. This very council approved that very severance as well. So it's built to withstand flooding. That's been demonstrated significantly. There's mitigation measures put in place, has been explained, and has been approved by the different conservation authority letters over the years. So I think I would ask members of council to support South Huron's position.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Finch. Councillor Dietrich, please.
Thank you. Building's already there, been built up to standards. I saw the water around the buildings, never saw any damage to the particular property. Everything else around it has had water, but it's been clear, and a lot of height between the water and where the buildings are. So I support this. Thank you.
Okay, and I'm going to go to everyone else on council for your comments. Councillor Klopp, please.
Thank you. Normally I'd want to have more discussion, but I think it was really wise how we had the presentation earlier. Based on that, based on the comments, and the fact that there was one that conservation talked about if you can't move it forward. It's interesting, but the original buildings were built back there. I would like to think that somebody didn't go, let's build in the lowest spot in the world. Let's give some credit to some farmers that were from a way back. So based on that, I'm prepared at this time to make the motion to support what the Council of South Huron made for discussion. That he is allowed the severance.
So that motion has been forward by Councillor Klopp, and past Warden McClellan is seconding that motion. Any further discussion? So the motion is to go with what? Councillor Heffer, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Warden. I see where everything is going with the severance here and whatnot. My only concern is with where so many severances have been happening, is it down the road, is there going to be complication between the person living in the house that may not be a farmer, maybe an outsider? I just have a concern that when that spring time of year comes, that there could be challenges, whether the farmer can do what he wants to do or not do. And that's my concern with allowing all these severances. Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments? Past Ward McNeil, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Warden, and I fully respect our planner following the PPS and the county and the municipality. I really appreciated Mr. Palin's presentation for clarity combined with yours, Victor, and I will be supporting this application as presented. Thank you.
Councillor Finch, please.
Yeah, thank you. The right to farm takes precedence over anyone that's there now or in the future, and any new purchaser will know that it's a severed part of the property there, and that farming is going to take place anyways. So any complaints from a future owner would be moot, in my opinion. The buildings are there. We're not talking about severing a lot and then building a building or any other buildings. These buildings exist, and they add to the fabric of the municipality and of all of Huron County. Yeah, I think it's something we need to support, and I appreciate those that are already in favor of that, and I will also be supporting it.
Okay. Any other comments on this application?
Yeah.
Go ahead to Councillor Noel, please.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. I just have one question for Victor, if I could, please. It seems to me, based on everything that has been said, that Ausable Bayfield's primary concern is that the new proposed lot lines are hug so closely the driveway all the way up to the road. Would their opinion change if those lot lines were wider? Is that what you're saying? Because there's nowhere else to rebuild if there is a flood that renders the current buildings uninhabitable?
Victor, please.
Thank you. And through you, thank you, Councillor Noel. Yes, we did discuss with ABCA staff very early in the application whether an alternative building location could be included as part of the severed property. But the challenge was that because the laneway is so long, if you were to extend a rectangular lot all the way out from the back, you'd be taking a significant portion of that existing farmland. And so there wasn't a sensible way to try to sever and create an opportunity for future rebuilding. And the other issue that it created was that if there is a flood event in the future and the buildings have to be reconstructed closer to the road on a potential future location, you still have this awkward key-shaped portion of the lot that would go through the center of the farmland. So that was an option that was discussed and considered. But it didn't resolve the question of policy conformity.
Thank you, Victor. Any other questions, comments? So the motion then is to approve this application. Those in favor of that motion? And that motion is carried. And Victor, do you have a secondary motion for council to consider?
Yes, I do. Thank you. And I'll just confirm. So we'd be looking at 2A and 5B and 6B for the public and agency comments.
So is there someone willing to put that motion forward? That's Councillor Becker and Councillor Dietrich. Those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you, Victor. And you're here for the next presentation as well, which is the Hopper consent file. So you go ahead when you're ready, Victor.
Thank you. And wearing my my other hat now, we're up in Morse Turnberry, just northeast of Belgrave. So this is the subject property. You can see it highlighted in blue on the east side of the map. The application is to sever off an existing residential building and accessory buildings from the surplus, from the retained farmland. The applicants have applied as a surplus farm severance However, this does not qualify as a surplus severance. This is a ownership map that was done up by our GIS team to try to help walk council through the different ownerships. So starting at the north side, I highlighted in yellow, there is an existing farm building cluster. We'll call that the home farm building cluster. That is the residence of the applicants, and it's owned by Wayne and Linda Hopper. The surrounding farmland has been separated through a past severance and is owned by Hopper Holdings Incorporated. And then moving south, there's vacant farmland owned by Wayne and Linda Hopper. And then the subject property where the vacant farmland is highlighted in red, and the farm building cluster and the residents that they are hoping to sever are highlighted in blue. And so the fundamental issue with this application is that the home farm has already been severed, that the farm building cluster and the residents are not part of the same parcel as the surrounding farmland. And so they don't qualify as a surplus farm severance here because they don't have an existing farm with a residence on it that this would be surplus to. This is otherwise a relatively straightforward proposal that would look like a lot of our other surplus severances. So this is the proposed severed parcel. This is the existing residence that they're hoping to sever, and the accessory buildings that they would be severing with the residents. We have received no comments from the public or Huron County Federation of Agriculture. No objections were received from MVCA. When this was brought to the municipality of Morris Turnberry, it was recommended for approval as applied for, accepting condition number 8, which I'll get into. So as I outlined, the provincial planning statement prohibits the creation of new residential lots in the prime agricultural area, except where it's a surplus severance application. This doesn't meet the criteria for a surplus severance, and so it doesn't pass kind of this basic test. This would be just a residential lot creation in the prime ag area. And as council is very familiar, this is also included as policy direction in the Huron County official plan and in the Morris Turnberry official plan. As the applicants do own another farm building cluster with the surrounding farmland in 2 separate ownerships, there is a potential here for them to come into compliance with the policies. And so our department is recommending approval. However, we are recommending condition number 8 be included, which is that essentially that the farm residents merge with the surrounding farmland and that those become a single parcel. And so then the home farm would be a qualifying parcel, and the surplus residents and the surplus buildings on that property could be sold separately, and they could retain the farmland. The applicants are not open to condition number 8, and they would like the application approved without condition number 8, which was the recommendation of Morris Turnberry Council. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Victor. So we're now entering the part of the meeting where members of the public can make comments. And again, anyone wishing to speak can do so virtually using the raised hand feature on Zoom. And if you're in person, you can raise your hand and state your name for the official minutes. And I'm going to start asking if there's anybody wishing to speak in opposition. Clerk Cronin, are you aware of anyone speaking in opposition?
I see no one that wishes to speak in opposition of this application at this time.
I'm going to ask if there's anyone wishing to speak in favor of this application. Clerk Cronin?
I see no one that wishes to speak in favor of this application at this time.
And the applicants are with us. Is there anything that the Hoppers would like to say at this time regarding this application? All right. And as far as the rep for Morris Turnberry, Victor has made it clear that Morris Turnberry Council did approve the application to proceed with the exclusion of condition number 8. It was not a unanimous decision, but it was the decision of Morris Turnberry Council, and that is bringing us to our place here today. So I'm going to go to other members of council. If there was any other members of council, past Warden McClellan, please.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. At least from the presentation, it appears that the only reason it doesn't meet is that they've changed the names on the properties, probably for future planning, to be a separate business and the home ownership. So other than that, I don't see that this really doesn't meet our normal standards for a separation of a surplus building. So I don't have any problem with going ahead and doing this severance as requested by the applicant.
Okay, any other comments from council? Past Warden McNeil, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Warden. And I believe we all hold the local municipalities who are very knowledgeable of the applications that are presented in very high regard. And I would be, at this time, I would put forward a motion that we approve this excluding condition 8, which would be the same as what Morris Turnberry Council approved. Is that correct?
That is correct. So if that's a motion put forward, is there a seconder? That's Councillor Harding would second that. Any further discussion on this application? Seeing none, I will call the question. Those that are in favor of approving, excluding condition number 8, and that motion is carried. And Victor, do you have a follow-up motion for council to consider?
Yes, I do. So the recommended motion would be 2A, 4B, and 5B.
Councillor Klopp is putting that motion forward and Past Warden Ginn is seconding that. Those in favor of that motion, and that is carried as well. Victor, thank you for your attention to the planning issues today.
Sorry, I apologize. I had the wrong slide up there. If I could correct that, it would be 2A, 3B, and 5B.
So would our mover and seconders be willing to
I want to go to jail.
all right.
Apologies
Thank you,
for
Victor.
that.
We are at the stage of our agenda where we're looking at cultural services, and Beth is available for the Rural Ontario Grant Development Opportunity if there's any questions for her on that. And if there is no questions, I'd be looking for motion then to support that. And that is Past Warden Ginn and Councillor Dietrich seconding that. Those in favor, that is carried. Under administration policies and other issues, the Huron County lobbying strategy has been in our agenda, and I'm going to turn to our CAO, Megan Wark, to speak to this.
Thank you very much. Through you, Mr. Warden. So what you have in front of you is just an update on the lobbying strategy, outlining the significant efforts that are being made in this area by staff and elected officials relating to the County of Huron. Council will remember that in March 2025, this was identified as a key priority area of County Council. So also in relation to this report, AMO does have a call out for delegations for the conference. So if there are specific issues Council wants us to target, I would welcome that feedback from County Council. There has been some preliminary discussion with the Warden, and which have focused on the issues relating to Bill 100. However, I'm happy to receive additional feedback from County Council either now or at some time before the delegations are to be submitted.
Thank you, Megan. Past Warden McClellan.
Well, this is going to sound a little awkward, but myself and Councillor McClellan, we were supposed to bring up something today, and I can't remember exactly what the title was. But we were wondering about support from all of the lower tiers and the county as a whole, possibly for a delegation at the AMO conference. And at this time, I'd like to turn it over to Councillor McClellan.
Thank you, Mr. Warden, through you to Bernie or to the council. Actually, we were going to bring something forward about the Huron Hospice support for that. And I was going to talk to Councillor Ginn about that too, to see if they've been to see him or not and try to organize maybe something countywide. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. We have had the hospice come to us, and as well as the town of Goderich. The town of Goderich has agreed to put a delegation forward involving Central Huron and Goderich. On behalf of Central Huron, I'd be more than welcome to take anyone else that wants to come into that delegation. I think it's an important issue. all the facilities are there. They just can't get the funding from the province. So I don't know if Mayor Bazinet has anything further to add.
Go ahead, Trevor.
Yeah, thank you through you, Mr. Warden. Yeah, we'd be willing to have as many parties that want to join the delegation. We have not been approved for the delegation, but we have sent it in. So we're hopeful to be approved and move this forward because it is an important topic.
Good. Thank you. Councillor Finch.
Yeah, and there's always, I think through Warden, there's always strength in numbers. And if we're going to have provide advocacy for Huron Hospice, perhaps we should include Jessica's House as well as another hospice in the county that does provide services for all our residents. And I think there'd be more advocacy strength in that regard.
Okay, thank you. Past Warden McNeil, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Warden. And ACW Council has also received a delegation from the Huron Hospice, and it is my intent to attend the AMO conference, and I would happy to join that delegation if it was approved on behalf of ACW. Thank you.
Councillor Becker, please.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. Blue Water Council also endorses joining together with the rest of the county to have that support to support the Huron Hospice. So I think it, like Councillor Finch said, numbers make a difference down there.
So if I understand correctly, Goderich is taking a lead on this delegation if it's approved?
Correct. Yeah, we've submitted the application. We're just waiting to hear back now. And with communication with Central Huron, Willie Van Klooster, he did the delegation to the town of Goderich, and he made us aware that maybe Central Huron and the town of Goderich could work together on this. But hey, I think it'll get the message across stronger with more people.
Okay, so if I would just ask that you would keep us informed as you make progress putting that together.
I would ask if there are municipalities that would like to be part of that delegation, please let me know, and then we can add everyone to the list so there's no surprises when we do show up to AMO.
Past Warden McNeil.
Thank you very much, Mr. Warden. And I also think it would be appropriate for include the county with the advocacy group with yourself, Mr. Dietrich, and the CAO to also be involved in that so that we have a county involvement in it. I would much rather it be inclusive than divisive. Thank you.
Good. And I see our CAO taking notes as we're speaking here, so she is capturing our thoughts as they're coming out. Past Warden McClellan, please.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. Just one final bit of information, and hopefully the town of Goderich gets their delegation and we can all attend. If somebody could even contact the hospice, because there's been so many large donations by public members to this that I think even telling that story shows the importance of this facility to the community overall. And I think that would go a long way in explaining how important it is.
Councillor Noel and then Councillor Bazinet.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. I just wanted to highlight that this is a really specific issue and a really specific question that we have to advocate for. And so I just don't want the idea to be broadened in scope so much that we're kind of missing the forest for the trees. And I absolutely understand we want to support Jessica's House at the same time, but I think that there is a really, really narrow issue here that we have to hammer home at AMO. And so I want to make sure that we're not broadening the scope of this particular delegation such that we miss what we really need to focus on. Thank you.
Yep, point taken. Thank you, Councillor Noel. Councillor Bazinet, please.
Through you, Mr. Warden, I appreciate those comments from Councillor Noel. I was actually going to echo what she had said. Huron Hospice came to numerous councils here to do a delegation in regards to their struggles right now, and I think that needs to be our focus. If Jessica House also has some concerns that they have, then I would hope that they would reach out to our lower tier municipalities as well and make us aware. But in regards to the delegation, I think it should stick to the Huron Hospice and what their struggles are. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Anything else for Megan on this report? Okay. Not seeing any more, then I would be looking for a motion to receive this report. Oh, Past Warden Ginn. Oh, Councillor Heffer.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. No, I just noticed on the first one of the report, we're just looking at the last mile funding. So I take it there's no chance of that coming back in at all?
So through you, a number of meetings have occurred that both staff and the warden have participated in relation to any funding opportunities that have been available for housing and homelessness. And to date, we have not been successful. That doesn't mean that we are going to stop having those meetings. It just means that to date, we have not been successful.
Appreciate that.
Okay, so motion to receive by Councillor Past Warden Ginn, Councillor Anderson seconding that. Those in favor? That is carried. Under correspondence, is there anything anybody wants to bring forward? Councillor Besnet, please.
Yes, through you, Mr. Warden. When I looked at the attachments, I did not see an attachment for item 12.12, which is for the Nuclear Innovation Institute 2025 annual report. Unless my eyes have failed me at the age of 51. I'm just curious, since it's not on there, could it be provided at our next county council meeting, please?
My clerk assures me that we will have that circulated. Councillor Anderson.
Thank you, Warden. I would like to support 12.9, the Western Ontario Wardens Caucus letter regarding support for Finley's Law and Emergency Room.
Those in favor? That is carried. Anything else on that list? Councillor McClellan, please.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. If I could pull in support, I believe it was 12.6, the Western Wardens Caucus with their support them with their discussions on Bill 100.
So motion put forward. Is there a seconder for that? Councillor Basnet. I believe that's an important motion to support here from this council. So those in favor of that? And that is carried. Thank you. Anything else under correspondence? Councillor Noel, please.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. I apologize. I didn't have a chance on 12.9 to just state my opposition to it. So I think I should, I understand that it's passed, but there was no call for discussion. I just want to bring to people's attention that, while I absolutely support this improved pediatric care in emergency rooms, these are rigid requirements that we're putting on an understaffed system. And I don't see anywhere where there's a proposal to provide the resources to meet those requirements. So I worry that supporting this ignores addressing the broader sort of systemic and structural issues and punishes the people on the front lines without giving them the tools they need to do the job that's being asked of them to do. So I just feel like I need to state that in the open council session. I know it doesn't change anything at this point, but I wanted to raise the issue. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your comments, Councillor Noel. Is there anything council wanted to address regarding that? Seeing not, okay. Is there a motion then to receive the rest of the correspondence? And that's Councillor Vanstone, Councillor Dietrich. Those in favor? That is carried. Is there any new and unfinished business to address? Seeing not, is there any notice of motion to put forward? Seeing none there, I would be looking now for a mover for the first, second, and final reading of the bylaws. And that is Councillor Harding, seconded by Councillor Klopp. Those in favor? That is carried. There is no close to the public session today. Make yourself aware of the upcoming meetings that you have responsibilities to, as they're listed there. And at this point in time, I'd be looking for someone to confirm our actions for the morning. That's Councillor Becker, seconded by Councillor Finch. Those in favor? That is carried. Would someone be willing to adjourn our meeting? Councillor Dietrich, thank you. Councillor Heffer seconds that. Those in favor? We are officially adjourned. Thank you, everyone.